Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Kevin Egberg, and this is Window on the World. We're joined today by Citrine Straker from the British Virgin Islands. Citrine, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
I'm actually very good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So let's start off with an easy question. How old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay. And what part of the British Virgin Islands are you from?
I am from Tortola. It's one of the 5 main islands in the British Virgin Islands. It's the biggest of the 5.
It's the biggest.
Is it 5? Yeah.
And so the name of the town is the name of the island?
Yeah, the name, because the towns are so small.
Right.
I'm from King Garden Bay specifically, but it's one of the more popular beaches on the island. So if you ever find yourself in Tortola, you will find yourself more than likely on King Garden Bay Beach. But you usually say the island you're from rather than the town.
Okay, sure. Do you know roughly how many people live on the island?
On my island, well, the totality of population, I think, in total is about 40,000 people. So maybe 30,000 of the 40,000 live on the Tortola, maybe less.
Okay. You've been here for how long?
I've been here for almost 2 months now.
Oh, okay. So this is your first semester here?
Yes, this is my first semester.
So could you tell us a bit about the differences between the educational systems?
Definitely. We only have a junior college back home. That's the first thing. So it's a lot smaller. People are not as full-time. You don't get to spend time with your friends as much. And a lot of people often work while being in college, or if you're not working, you're freshly out of high school. And it's not like people from all ages, you don't see them every day in class with you very often. You would, but it's not very often. And definitely the system is different. We are really similar with the textbooks, but you can get more work done in class, more understanding of the classes, rather than having to rely solely on the textbooks for your, well, not solely, but mainly on the textbooks for your information.
So would you say you rely more on your teachers back home than here?
If I am more on...
If you rely more on your professors?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, a little bit more. Because they kind of tend to treat us like children because the community is so small, and they more than likely have children your age and just have that mentality that you're a child. So they spoon feed you in a sense.
Right. Do you find them to be more strict than here?
Yes, they are definitely more strict. They definitely, not as strict as high school, but a little strict. Like they're not
more
as
strict in high school?
No, but yeah, they're more strict in high school. Like you have to be at this certain time, at this certain time, at this certain time. But they're like less lenient with attendance. They're less lenient with like you just getting up and going to the bathroom. Okay. And yeah, so it's an entire cultural thing. So you don't really realize how different it is until you go outside of the BVI.
Right. So the culture, you say it's like more laid back then?
Yes, definitely. In other aspects, it's definitely more laid back. Well, it's a given. I don't know. It's two sides of the same coin.
Right.
So with school, I would say they're strict because they're really about education. You have to be on top of your game. You have to do the best. But in most other aspects of life, they're pretty relaxed. They're pretty laid back. They don't really stress about anything. So it just depends on what part of life you are in, what you will experience.
So are all people like that? They're more relaxed than here,
yes,
you would say?
People are very relaxed. They are really friendly. They're more community-oriented because a lot of us are family. Right. So you know how you're likely to just love your family because they're your family.
And it's a smaller population.
Yeah, and if you see somebody every day, you're just more likely to be more friendly with them. Sure, so I would say they're more laid back. They're really relaxed, and it's nice. I miss it.
Your community college, is that what it is?
Yes, a community college.
And it's a smaller campus than here?
Yeah, it's much smaller. It's like the entire campus is like 4 buildings, 2 for classes, 1 auditorium, and 1 for like offices. Like like how Hearns Hall has all the offices. Sure. Yeah, so it's 4 buildings. It does not take 5 minutes to get to your class. It doesn't even take 2 minutes to get to your class. Okay. But yeah, it's a lot smaller. The campus is a lot smaller. I mean, there's a cafeteria too. It's a little smaller.
Okay.
So maybe more than 4, but the main buildings are 4 main buildings.
Right. And you told me before that people don't live on campus there, right?
No, we do not have any in-house on-campus facilities because everywhere on island, it's like the furthest place, unless you're coming from, some students do have to commute by boat from a different island. They
Oh,
would
really?
have to, yeah, they would have to catch the
From
boat.
one of the smaller islands.
Yes.
Sure.
So they would have to catch the boat. The boat is about 30 minutes and then about 10 more minutes to the campus, or 20, depends on where you're coming from. But if you live on Tortola, at most you're 40 minutes away from school, and that's if you drive very, very slowly.
Okay.
So if people don't live on campus because you don't really have to.
Sure. So how do most students get to campus?
Well, because most of them are like fresh out of high school, their parents. There's also a lot of buses that go to that end of the island, though there is not a public transport system. It just happens to go to that end of the island, so you could catch a bus, or you would hitchhike. That's what they call it here, hitchhike.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you ever hitchhike?
No, I am so scared to hitchhike.
Is it safe to hitchhike?
It is safe to hitchhike, but personally, I don't like it. Personally, I don't like it, but the boys definitely can. The girls can if you're brave enough, but I'm not brave enough.
Right, right. Yeah, well, it sounds dangerous.
I promise you, it's not. I promise you,
Okay.
it's
Well,
not.
it's like you say, it's a smaller
It's
population.
small. And like more than likely, if somebody would see you and know you, and if you're hitchhiking, you kind of live within 10 minutes. So, and because it's the school, because it's the college, and they know that there's no public transport system, they would just pick you up because you're a student, and they know that you would need the help,
Right.
just because that's the community.
So it's like you say, it's more community
it
driven.
is very community driven.
You get a lot of tourists to BVI, don't
Yes, we do. Tourism is one of our main revenue sources. So we get a lot of, well, the ones I see are a lot of cruise ship tourists.
Okay.
But we also have like online tourists that stay longer, but they would venture off to different islands, and you don't really know what's going on in different islands unless you work in that industry or if you live on that island. So I neither live on other islands nor do I work in the tourism industry. So I mainly only see cruise ship tourists because they walk around town and you see the cruise ships in the pier, and yeah.
So do you know where the cruise ships come from?
They come from all over. I would say definitely American cruise ships. You get like from Florida. I think we've gotten some from Europe. I'm not 100% sure because I hear different languages, and that's how I kind of figure out where they're from. You hear German, French, you hear English and Spanish. Some of them come from different parts of the Caribbean, but it's mainly American cruises and maybe Caribbean and maybe some European, but that's more expensive.
Oh yeah, it's further away. Sure.
Yeah.
So are there any destinations in the BVI you recommend to tourists to visit?
Definitely, I recommend the Bats. That's one thing that we are very known for. It is a beach that is made up of boulders, and the boulders kind of create these small caves and has little like pools, and it's really picturesque. It's really beautiful. I also recommend just different islands. Most of our smaller islands are like resort type islands. So you could actually, just actually go island hopping with a charter boat. There's another place called Willie T. It's like a floating bar in...
A floating bar?
Yeah, a floating bar,
Okay.
like a bar or like a pub where you drink alcohol.
Sure.
So it's a floating bar, and people find it's fun to jump off into the ocean.
Oh, sure.
So you can jump off of the side of the boat and land in the ocean. It's safe. It's not that, because you can see to the bottom of the ocean. You'll see if a shark is underneath there.
But is it deep still?
Yes, it is deep.
Right,
If
but
it's
it's clear
if you
water.
can't swim, don't do it.
Right.
But because it's in the middle of the ocean. It's like off the coast of one of the smaller islands. So you cannot get there you have to have a private boat to get to this floating bar. But I would say that's one. There's a lot of many other things. But
Have you done the floating bar?
yes, I have actually.
Okay, so how was the experience?
I was scared. But honestly, just take out your earrings. don't wear a wig or anything that can fall off of you, and you'll be fine. Once you can swim, you're good, because you just jump right off, and then there's like a little dock on the side for you to swim back. And once you have, and usually there's people there to cheer you on and
Oh,
give you
okay.
that
As
little
you swim.
courage that you
Right.
need. So yeah, it is pretty fun. But there's a lot of other places. The beaches are very nice. King Garden Bay Beach, as I mentioned, and just what we are kind of, our selling point is that it's just calm and relaxing. So everywhere you can go, you can kind of just have a view that's easy on the eyes,
Sure.
and it's really nice.
Of course. Do you have a favorite destination then back home?
My favorite is home. But my favorite destination, food-wise, I really love a place in Virgin Gorda called Hog Haven. If you don't eat pork, it's not, for you.
Sure.
But it has great ribs, great pulled pork. There also are definitely the charter. If you happen to charter a boat, Sabre Rock is a nice place to go. That's a small island. It's about 1 acre, and the entire thing's a resort, so you can kind of just go there and relax. You could see views. Willie T is really fun if you're in a drinking or just jumping off into docks. The Pear Park is really nice. That's where people go. And just chill out. Most locals go there on the weekends and hang out with each other. And I would say that's off the top of my head.
Sure.
But there are so many beautiful places, I must say. And I'm not being biased. There
Okay,
are a lot of beautiful places.
Sure. Have you been to any other countries?
I have been to Barbados. There's another island in the Caribbean. I
Right.
have been to the UK. And I also happened to go to the Canary Islands for my birthday
okay.
last summer.
How'd you enjoy that?
Which one? The Canary Islands?
yeah, sure.
Well, the Canary Islands in the UK was a lot of fun. Barbados was more of a business trip. But
Okay.
it was also fun because I got to see family. That's another thing. You happen to have other family in other Caribbean islands.
So you have family all over the islands?
Not all over, but in Barbados, yes. But some people do have family in at least 4 different islands. So just for me, it just happens to be the 2. But for a lot of people, it spreads. You can have 3 different islands. You could be 4 different islands. It could just be all over the Caribbean. You have family.
Sure.
But yeah, those 2 vacations were really fun. I got to see in the London. I got to see the main sites, like the Big Ben, the London Eye, the Tower Bridge. In the Canary Islands, I got to see. It's called Golfo Verde. So it was like a green lake.
Right.
And it had black sand, and then something else. I think it was called Las Gritas. It's a Spanish country, so it's in Spanish.
Same.
So Las Gritas is it was like a pathway, and it was something with the wind caused the walls to look really cool. I cannot remember the explanation, but it looked prettier in the pictures. And in the Canary Islands, I just also kind of just looked and saw. So it was an island, so also I feel like it was really beautiful.
Sure. You've mostly been to islands then?
Yes,
Right.
I think since America. Oh, I also been to New York.
Oh,
Sorry,
right.
I went to New York and I got to see I had a helicopter ride where I saw the entire New York, not the entire, but a lot of the
Right.
city's landscape, and I also got to see the Statue of Liberty from above. It was really pretty.
From the helicopter
Yeah,
ride?
from the
Wow,
helicopter.
wow.
Yeah, I think that was really pretty.
Sure. Please stay tuned. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll hear more about Citrine's experiences abroad. Window on the World will be right back. Welcome back to Window on the World. And if you're just joining us, we're here today with Citrine from the British Virgin Islands. Tell us a bit more about your life back home.
Well, my life back home, what I miss, you want to know how daily life was?
Anything, yeah.
What I miss. I definitely miss the food. We have a lot of local fruits. And
Fruits?
Yeah, local fruits. So like mangoes, and there's also seasonal fruits. There's mangoes, coconuts, sour sops, we plant tomatoes. I also miss, like, we have a lot of seafood. We eat a lot of seafood, like lobster, shrimp. I hear the lobster and shrimp is good, but I am allergic, so I don't eat
Oh,
it.
you're allergic to
Yes, I'm allergic to
shellfish.
shellfish. But fish, we eat a lot of fish.
Sure.
A lot of people are fishermen. That's like their career.
Sure, it's an island.
And I honestly can't eat fish if it's not freshly caught from the
Okay.
ocean. But yeah, we also have different breads and different like flour-based things, like something called dumpling. I can show you a picture. Something called Johnny Cake. We have coconut breads. We have pea soup is one of our main dishes. Like if you cook a good BVI pea soup, you're a real BVI lander.
You mentioned before it's your favorite dish.
Yes,
from back
actually,
home.
it is one of my favorite things.
Could you tell us a bit more about it?
It is a soup with peas. I don't know how they make it. I honestly can't make it, unfortunately. But it's with peas, pigtail, and dumpling.
Pigtail.
Yeah, pigtail is like pork. Its tail, I guess. I'm not sure. But you just grow up eating it, and we call it pigtail.
Right.
I'm not sure which part of the pig it comes from.
Sure, that makes sense.
But yeah, you do it. It's peas, pigtail, dumplings, and potatoes. You really only want pigtail and dumpling in your pot. You don't really want anything else, but you have to have the extra just for the nutrients.
Sure, sure.
And there's also a really popular dessert called tart. It is like a big thing every year. We have an entire country argument about which tart is the best tart.
Okay.
I will go on the record to say coconut is the best tart, and most people will agree with me, but pineapple and guava tart are also two very popular ones, and I personally think they're good, but coconut is the best.
So they're made with like the local
So
things?
yeah, they're made with ideally, they're made with local. So they were made with local pineapple, local guava, and local coconut. And once it's local and not can-made, it definitely tastes a lot better. And then the crust is made of flour. I would say it kind of is like a pie. It looks like a pie, but the filling is more. It's not like liquid. It's more like. I'm not even sure how to describe it, but I can show you a picture.
Sure. We'll
tart.
have pictures on.
They also have something called guava berry wine. Is another seasonal drink. We mainly drink it at Christmas, and it's made of guava berries. I don't know how they make it, but it tastes really good. And I don't think they see it as a wine, even though it's a wine, but you kind of drink it at home in very small amounts when you're younger, and then as you get older, you drink it with your family. Yeah,
sure. You mentioned Christmas. Is it celebrated differently than here?
No, I don't think so. Maybe with the food that we eat.
Sure.
But it's definitely the same tree, the same gifts, the
Really?
same.
It's like a fir tree?
Not the fruit tree, the Christmas tree.
Yeah, but it's a fir.
A fir tree?
Yeah, you know the name of the trees.
That's what it's called? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, but they're fake. We have fake
yeah, of
ones.
course.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's the same evergreen, the green one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they decorate with lights, and they decorate their house with lights. They go around caroling, but the difference is like it would have BVI carols, not like international carols. And the food we'd make maybe saltfish. You'd make some pea soup. You'd make some like goat water, which is basically soup with mutton in it.
Goat water?
Yes, goat water. It's soup. I don't know why it's called goat water, but it's soup, and it does not look like water at all, and it does not taste like water, but it's called goat water. They make dumb bread, coconut bread, and you just spend a lot of time with family, but that's the same way here. It's just different foods and maybe different practices. Not really, but we do have like the weekend off. We have the 2 days. We have Christmas Day and the day after Christmas Day off. So you kind of make an entire, and a lot of people, depends on where it falls in the week, would just take the entire time off and celebrate into the new year, just the whole entire week. Some employers actually give their employees the entire week off, whether it's a holiday or not.
Okay, cool. So do you have like presents and Santa Claus and all that?
Yes, we have presents. I don't think they really push Santa Claus like that. Not that it's like Santa Claus is fake. It's just they don't. They just don't push it. But they would have Santa Claus in marketing techniques. But definitely presents. Everybody gets presents. mainly children gets presents, but
Sure.
if your loved one says, hey, I wanted this, you're in the store, you'd probably buy it for them if you are able to. But yes, same presents, same wrapping paper. Honestly, it's not much different,
Right.
but I have actually never experienced a real American Christmas. I've only
Oh,
seen it on
okay.
TV.
Sure,
So
sure.
I don't think it's
That's fair.
100% different, but it's not. I don't believe it is.
Do you do stockings?
I don't, but some do.
Some people
Some
do.
yeah,
Okay.
because we don't really have fireplaces
Sure. Oh,
because it's hot
yeah,
all the time.
why would you? Yeah,
So
right.
there would be nowhere to hang the stockings, but they would have stockings on like the tree as a decoration. They would maybe stick them to the wall, like have a designated area, but we don't have fireplaces to put the stockings. But
right.
they might have the stockings.
Okay. Well, here in America, there are many different religions, especially I'm sure you know. What about the BVI? Is it mostly Christian?
Mostly Christian, different denominations of Christian. There's like not one Christian denomination that's bigger than the other.
Really?
Yeah, it just really. It's
Do you know roughly the makeup?
So it's Baptist, Methodist, some Catholic, some Anglican, some Jehovah's Witnesses. There's Mormonism. There's Muslim. There might be a small Hindu population,
Okay.
but I'm not sure. But definitely Christianity, and then the so close second is Muslim.
Okay.
Islam.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure. Do you get people from other countries who stay more permanently?
Yes. Actually, more than half of our population are expats,
Really?
expatriates. Yeah. And they make up most of the working class. And what happens is they kind of just stay there and make it their home.
Right.
So after a while, they're not considered. They're just local, but they're
Okay.
not direct descendants of the BVI.
Right.
So definitely people from all over the Caribbean come. We get a lot of UK immigrants. Some Filipino, they would
Really?
yeah, Filipino. That's the main Asian population we have. There's also a few people from China, maybe a few Koreans, maybe a few Japanese, but mainly Koreans. I mean not Koreans, sorry. Mainly Filipino people.
Right, sure.
And
they're like guest workers?
well, they're guest workers, but they end up staying
Right, okay.
like their whole life because you kind of get used to the sweet life, I would say. You get
Sure.
used to not having to, break your back, to work too hard. I guess I don't know how they find it, but they find it, they love it, and they stay, and I'm here for it.
Right, sure. So, switching gears a little, what brought you to the United States?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, there's only a 2-year college.
Right.
So, but we still kind of have the expectation to get a bachelor's degree just to kind of rise in your career as everywhere else in the world. But what brought me here specifically is...
Yeah, to Missouri Southern
Yeah.
specifically.
Well, first to the United States is that, I mean, most people in the BVI, from the BVI, are UK citizens as well. But I thought that was too far from home.
Oh, okay.
So I was like running away from the cold, but I came right back to the cold.
Right,
But
right now, at
I
least.
just feel like if I have to go, it's quicker that I would find another one of my family members in the United States than in the UK. So I felt safer to come to the United States. I also felt safer because we are Western, so we are Western influenced. So it's less of a culture shock. I'm not like, oh my gosh, I don't understand what these people are doing. I kind of understand
Well,
because
I think they're Western in Britain too.
But we are British, but it's because we're a lot closer to America.
Sure, of course.
We're like, we get American TV, we
Right.
kind of get American food. So I'm not saying we're not British. We are definitely British.
But culturally...
culturally, we kind of understand American culture better than we understand
that
British
makes sense.
culture,
It's
just because of the
closer.
proximity.
Sure,
Yeah.
exactly.
I also came to Missouri Southern because the school back home actually recommends them
Okay.
to most of the students. They're like this is a good school to come to. They say they help you get your credits transferred easier. That's a big issue back home as well. In history, but Previously, you would not get your credits transferred. They would like not accept anything,
Right.
and you would have to do over classes, and you have to spend more money in school, which would be a lot more stressful because funding is very far and few in between.
Sure.
So I got to Missouri Southern by, I don't know, so many. I just thought it worked out so well that I just said, this is the place for me.
Okay, sure. What are you studying here?
I'm studying accounting and management.
Okay. Do you know what you want to do with that?
With management, I don't know yet. But accounting, definitely, I would become a CPA after. A CPA, a certified public accountant.
Okay.
And that's a 5-year goal. But for now, I'm just really focusing on finishing the bachelor's because I need the bachelor's to start the license. Yeah.
Where would you like to work, here or back home?
Back home, definitely.
Okay.
I actually am bonded to back home. But I really would love to go back home. I'm sorry. I'm not saying I don't like America, but the heat, I love it here. I do. But you get used to like the warmth. And the cold, it kind of makes you sad a little bit every now and again. So I do miss the heat and just life back home.
Sure. Well, you've spent some time in America in the Joplin area. What do you think of the place?
I actually really like it. I know I was just complaining about the cold, but I
Yeah.
do like it. I think in the spring, if you ask me this next month, I would have a different answer altogether.
Sure.
But I like how much more things there are to do. You definitely don't have that back home. You have to kind of go out more, and you have to have a car. I feel like here
true.
you could kind of get away with not having a car.
Oh, really?
Even though there's no public transportation, you can get away with it. You can. I feel like surprisingly, they're really nice here.
Oh, yeah.
I find they're
Everyone
very
says
nice
that.
here, and I think it's lovely. I think the community, even though it's big, I guess it's still small town to you guys, but to me it's
Right.
big. And I feel like for such a big community, I think they're very loving people and they're very welcoming, especially to international students,
Oh, yeah,
because
sure.
I'm an international student.
Right.
So I really like that. And just the fact that I love the school too. I think those teachers are really nice.
Oh, yeah.
I think the school, I said they're welcoming. Like the people and the school are really
Right.
welcoming. And it makes you want to stay despite the winter and the snow and the dreary weather. It does makes you want to stay. I kind of like it here. I do.
The cold weather will only last for a few months. Though,
Exactly,
and then it'll get super
exactly.
hot here.
Well, yeah, so I'm excited for that actually.
How hot does it get back home?
It's generally in the 70s. It does not drop. It does not drop below 75. Sometimes it feels like 70, but
Sure.
it does not drop below that ever.
Okay.
I actually, before I came here, on the AC, I could not have it lower than 69. That would be very cool for me.
Right.
So, yeah, it gets up to, in the summers, it gets up to like 90, 100, but the weather is pretty stable, and yeah.
Well, you can get 90 here too in the summer.
In the summer, definitely.
Yeah,
I've heard. Mm-hmm.
So would you recommend Missouri Southern to other students back home?
I would. I really would. I would say definitely it gives you, it helps you kind of wake up, because back home we are so not small-minded, but you kind of get trapped in the island life, in the
Sure.
relaxed life, and you need to wake up every now and again just to realize there are more things to life than
Right.
being relaxed all the time and being happy all the time. Sometimes you have to, experience different things just so that you can come back home if you want to come back home, or you can go. But if you do intend to stay home, you can just come home and bring some kind of innovation that would help, push the country. And I think Missouri is a great place to come because
Oh, yeah.
it's not warm, it's not anything you're used to, but it's also not terrible because the people are not bad. So it makes you feel like, oh, maybe I won't, collapse if it's cold for one day.
Right.
Maybe I will be fine. Maybe I'll be fine if I have to do something different, So I do think I would recommend Missouri Southern.
Great. Well, Citrine, it's been great having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you very much for having me.
That concludes this edition of Window on the World. Stay tuned for more great shows here at KGCS. I have been your host, Kevin Ekberg. Thank you, everybody, and good night.